How do you know it is time for a redesign? Other than your brand name, your company logo is one of the most important things people will notice when they discover your brand for the first time. It is something they'll continue to see and notice every time they encounter your brand in the future. It's critical that your logo tells the story about your company. You want it to convey your personality and have it be immediately recognizable as unique to your company. But the truth is, no logo can stay relevant forever. Times change, and so do design sensibilities and norms. Companies change too. And the logo that spoke volumes when your company was formed may no longer make sense if you pivot or undergo a substantial change to your business. This can include your clients. We're talking about this as if it's your own business, but this could be definitely a client that you're working on as well. Their company can undergo changes and shifts throughout time as well. So here are a few cases when a logo redesign may be in order. The logo is old. So you can see here Airbnb. The logo on the left is the old logo. The logo on the right is the redesign. Even if a company was formed and say a logo that was once loved, there might be a need over time if it grows stale or is no longer as relevant or as appealing as you once thought. It needs a redesign. So not to mention, an outdated logo is usually easy to spot, even for average consumers who don't know the first thing about design. So that's very interesting. There are often one or two design elements that are no longer in style. For example, think about italicized fonts, gradients, or bubbly text that end up making the logo look something out of the last decade. No matter how iconic your logo is, its creation will always be informed by the design standards, norms, and trends of the time in which it was created. This means that it will become outdated at some point. Think back to the last time your logo was refreshed and consider whether signs of age are beginning to show. Say if you did your own identity as a designer, even as a student designer, and you place this on your, say, resume, think about how that has changed throughout time. You will look back at that hopefully and say, oh, I need to revamp that because it looks dated or old. So that is definitely a time when you should consider a redesign. Number two, the logo is too complex. I mean, look at these logos here. These are very recognizable brands. On the top here, you have Apple. On the left side is their original first logo that they started with. So look how different. And Apple is a great example for here. It's too complex. The first one, I don't know if you guys can see, it's a very Victorian aged, over-designed, just have a lot of elements going on. It's very hard to even see. So it's too complex, but you can see how the trend from left to right goes from complex to more simple. So logos with a lot of detail or too much gradient often don't translate well to digital. Companies that were established long before the digital age may find their logos look great on letterhead, but not so great as profile images or in digital ad creative. Modern design in our current moment is about simplicity. It's all about simplicity. And fortunately, logos without too much complexity usually look best on the web. So if you look at your web properties and find that your detailed logo is difficult to see or decipher, it's a clue that a redesign might be in order. Number three, the company is evolving. So when your company first got started, or when a company did get started, say you're working on it, and a logo was designed, it was probably perfectly emblematic of what it stood for. But we all know no company remains static for long. Companies grow and evolve drastically over time. New services, products, and company missions are introduced as well. Mergers and acquisitions take place too. Company changes are usually things to be celebrated. They often brought about growth and development. Unfortunately, these positive changes may also end up rendering a company's original logo less than entirely relevant. A logo redesign can be just the thing to help signal a new direction. So you can see here the Federal Express FedEx, their original FedEx logo is on the very left here. And we all know that that's gone through, the company itself has gone through a lot of changes since their original logo was created. So you see the logo on the left, and it's definitely dated. You can see that by the font choice, the overall look, and the style. And then on the right, you can see how it's evolved into this very simplistic word mark that incorporates that really cool arrow that you can kind of see from the E and the X coming together in the positive negative space it's creating. But also, look at all the little taglines underneath the FedEx logo. You have FedEx Express, FedEx Ground in the green, FedEx Freight in the red, and they're just changing one simple color for each of those EX on the word mark to represent each department that they are involved in so that they can identify each section and department of that group. And then they have the tagline under there to verbally explain which each group is. So that's when you know the company is evolving, the logo is working, it's versatile, it's shifting with the trends, and it's also working for different departments. It's flexible enough to work in this way. So if they're evolving and the logo isn't evolving with it, that's when you know that the redesign is definitely in order and needs to happen. All right. Number 4, the company is growing. That can kind of be the same as evolving too, right? So many companies start out small and spend a few years fighting for survival. During this phase of the company's development, investing in quality logo design might not be top of the list of necessary expenses. Maybe something gets designed on the fly and it's maintained out of necessity during the lean years. As the company grows and becomes better known, however, that scrappy logo might no longer cut it. A young company that is growing, more established, should consider a logo redesign if the proper time and investment wasn't put towards branding in the earlier stages. You can see here Walmart evolving from their very first logo on the top in 1962 and then all the way at the bottom. So they definitely are a growing company. You can see the evolution of their design here on the left. So when a company is growing, a necessity to change and redesign the logo is definitely a step in the right direction as well. There are things to consider in regards to a logo redesign. So once your company determines that the time has come for a logo redesign, there are a few things to keep in mind as you begin this process. How identifiable is your logo? So companies that have long and storied histories usually have logos that are immediately identifiable. The logo alone can conjure intense feelings for the viewers who have come to associate the logo with the brand and the brand with positive experiences or memories. The golden arches, for example, will immediately bring McDonald's to mind. A single swoosh makes people think of the athleticism and perseverance that Nike has come to embody. The more identifiable the logo, the more cautious a company needs to be in redesigning it. You don't want to overhaul the logo so much that it loses its original power and meaning. Pepsi is another example of an identifiable logo. Throughout the years, the brand has undergone many changes, but they will maintain a familiar look and feel. How much do you want to honor the past? Related to the question of how recognizable or iconic a logo has become is the question of how much the company wants to honor its past in the redesigning of its logo. A logo redesign can be a bold statement that proclaims a break from the past. It's important to consider if this is indeed the statement you're trying to make. Bold redesigns can fail if they are perceived as erasing a cherished brand history or betraying the principles the brand was founded upon. Think about the Gap logo. If you get a chance, check out the redesign for the Gap logo. This is something that was in controversy from the original logo design, and that what they redesigned it to be, a lot of people hated it. So I'm not sure if they actually went back to the original logo, but definitely read through why the comments and how people thought about the new redesign, kind of what the issues were there. I think that would be an interesting thing to check out. So how much do you want to honor the past? How outdated is your logo? So earlier I mentioned how obvious it is to consumers when a logo feels tired, stale, or glaringly outdated. But there are degrees of how outdated a logo can be. A logo that hasn't been touched in 20 years will almost certainly be in need of a full redesign. But a logo that was redesigned within the past few years might warrant a subtler approach. If the logo is only somewhat outdated, there is the option to simply refresh it to bring it in line with the current design sensibilities. Here's an example here, Burger King on the left, and then the Burger King on the right. It's kind of crazy. I've kind of interesting to see the differences there. How important are current trends? So logo design, like anything else, goes through trends. When considering a redesign, it's useful to look at current trends to get a sense of where design sensibilities lie. That said, it's not a good idea to blindly redesign your logo according to these trends. Trends, as we all know, are fleeting. Furthermore, not all design trends can be suitable for all brands. Many current designs favor simplicity and minimalism, but that look might not work for a university with a deep and rich history, for example. So learn about current trends, but don't let them dictate your direction either. Where will the logo live? So it's important to consider where your logo will appear. Most businesses are multifaceted, and a logo is almost always going to be used in a variety of places. People will see and interact with the logo in many different ways. They'll see it on the website and social profiles. They might see it on billboards, magazine spreads, or even emblazoned on the side of a van. Updating your logo design. So as far as the world is concerned, your logo is the face of your brand. It plays a critical role in the way consumers perceive your company and whether or not they will have positive first impressions. Logos that are noticeably outdated, too complex, or no longer entirely relevant are good candidates for a redesign. If you're going to invest in a logo redesign, make sure to consider ways to maintain your brand's integrity and identifiable design elements at the same time as you focus on updating a more modern feel. When you're dealing with clients and they're asking for a redesign, these are some of the questions that, or maybe even not considering a redesign. Maybe you actually approach somebody about their logo and you think that it could benefit with a redesign. You know, these are all the things that you can definitely bring upon to the client without, saying it in a positive way, where you can say, hey, I can help you evolve your logo. I can help you make it look more fresh and more up to date and more modern, and align it more with what today's standards are, and obviously make it so that your company is more successful too in regards to putting the good face out there, a good modern updated face that is also going to be versatile and simple, and it's going to be effective and meaningful for the company. So these are some of the things to think about whenever you're looking at a possible redesign.